next edition of the Sunny Soul podcast, the Black Edition. And I am honored to have my personal friend and amazing YouTube and Instagram influencer, Armon Wiggins of the Armon Wiggins Show, here with us today. Welcome, Armon. How are you today?
Hello, Lisa. I am great. I'm actually happy to be here. You know, I don't really do a lot of interviews. So I'm doing an interview here. I haven't done an interview in a very long time. So I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm excited. And I would rather, I love the fact that I'm doing it with you. So I can't wait to get into some things.
Good. I'm glad. I'm so honored to have you.
Yeah.
I know it's odd. Armon has a very influential and popular YouTube channel, the Armon Wiggins Show. You also are on Instagram at the Armon Wiggins Show. Also, you're on Station Head as well. You have a Spotify podcast as well. So you've kind of become this multimedia like influencer, right? You're not just in one lane. But before all of that, there's Armon Wiggins, the man that has been through some things. And can you just give us just a little backstory, a bullet, kind of a high level? How did you get to where you're at right now with the Armon Wiggins Show and this kind of media conglomeration that it is becoming?
Well, it's interesting for me. As I was growing up, I was always told that my personality was obnoxious or I was extra. People would always say, he's so extra, you're so extra. And I would hear that all the time. And I would hear that, you just so much, And so for a while, I would try to find ways to, kind of dumb down my personality because I felt like, whenever someone would get to know me, like the first time, they think I was cool because I was a little bit quiet or I was shy. But after an hour of you knowing me, you realize, oh, he's not that shy. Then it's almost like he talks too much. And then you're at school, and then I was easy to get picked on by the teachers. You know what I mean? It was easy to say, he's the one that's causing the problems. He's the one that's doing all the talking. And unfortunately, growing up, it was a lot of times with my stepmom, she would get the phone calls home and she would like immediately believe the teacher was saying that it was all my fault, So at some point, I just wanted to just be regular. And I thought that I wasn't regular because my personality was just so in your face, so outrageous per se, so extra. And I always thought I had to try to kind of minimize that. So it got to a point where I went and I tried to get on prescription medication, Vyvanse, Adderall, things like that to kind of minimize who I was. And then it would take my whole personality away. And I remember my mom told me one day, because I was like, well, I just want to focus in school. I don't want to be too much. I don't want to talk too much. I just want to be regular. I want to be quiet. I want to be subdued. My mom was like, throw those pills away. Like, she was like, you don't need those pills. And so I threw those pills away. And I always told my parents, I was like, you know what? I'm going to make money off of my mouth, my personality. This is going to be, the reason why I'm successful. And pretty much that's how it happened. I always used to talk on the phone. And I always had a phone as a kid, and I would always buy the best phones, whenever I got a job. And then that'd be the first thing they take away from me is like your phone. You have no way to communicate. And I always told my dad, I was like, you know what? Guess what? I'm going to make money talking to people, And so here we are, 10 years later, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's interesting that you tell the story in that way. We talk a lot on the podcast and on the channel, a lot about how growing up and as teenagers, especially, we're told all these different things. We're programmed to believe certain things as children. And usually it's what we can't do, especially in our community. I'm not going to say it doesn't happen in any other community, but this is the Black edition. So we're just going to talk about it like it is. We're told you can't do this, you can't do that. And even, like you, I grew up in a, two-parent household. You had your different households too, but you had both your mom and your dad and your stepmom. Like, you had all this parental love and, everybody was there, influence. And even in that, we're still told that what we can't do or what we shouldn't do or how we can act and how we shouldn't act.
Mm-hmm.
And it really stops us from being who we really are. How long, though, do you feel like sometimes that still affects you in that you might hold back a little bit or you might question yourself now, even now, every once in a while, before you get to that next level or that next plateau?
Yeah, I mean, I would be lying if I said I don't. I always think about that, but then I also try to, say, listen, times have changed. And the older I get, the more I realize that you have to live life for yourself, right? And then there's just certain things that I've expected out of my parents that didn't happen. And there's certain things that I had to deal with from my parents that I don't feel like I should have. And so
Yeah.
at this point, if they don't like something that I do, they just have to deal. Because
Yeah.
if I'm not hurting or harming anybody, and it just goes against your moral or ethical code or religious code, there's a lot of things that I felt like went against my moral or religious or ethical code that I had to kind of bite the bullet on. So I'm at a point where, you know what? You just gonna have to deal with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's nothing personal. This is who I am. So I have to realize at some point I love my parents. I love the people that raised me, but I have to go and do it for myself. But that doesn't negate from the fact that, sometimes I do feel like, well, how will the people perceive me? Especially having the kind of platform that I do. I do gossip commentary, so we get messy. We talk about a lot of different things. We dive into people's personal lives. We talk a lot about what's going on in pop culture and people's lives. And so you open yourself up to be judged, and you always have to be perfect, because when you're commenting on someone else, people are just waiting for you to make a little mishap so they can say, well, look at your life. It's not perfect. So
Right.
you're always second guessing any little thing that you do, because it's almost like, well, I talk about people, so I'm opening myself up to be talked about too.
Right. Right. That's
You know
very
what I
true.
mean?
That's very true. But what I have always, so full disclosure for the audience listening, I think it's been what, 2, 3 years now since I started listening to you.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been on YouTube? 3 years now?
Yeah, 3 years. This will be year 4 in August.
Okay, yep. So I started listening to you. I think you had maybe about 10, 20,000 subscribers by the time that I found you. And I found you through because some stuff was going on. Because,
Of course.
I'm a little shady in the background. That's, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so I found you, then started listening to you and just started really being a supporter. And then along the line, we became friends. But one of the things that I've always admired about you is how you can do what you do, but do it with integrity. And a lot of us in this spiritual space and the teaching space, and we want to be out here, right? But we need to be out here with integrity, but we're scared about people coming and attacking us. So I wanted to do 2 things. Talk about being out here and how important it is to you and how you've navigated staying in integrity in everything that you do.
For me, I think that is something that is a little bit, it's just easy for me because I don't know, like it's not, I don't have a hatred or malicious bone in my body, honestly, to try to see the demise of someone, even people that I may not like. I can honestly sit here today and say, I don't hate anyone. Like, I understand entertainment versus just like misery. Like, I feel like to do things without integrity, you have to be like, you have to have a certain level of misery inside of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like there is some light. There is love in me. Like, I have boundaries because I believe in karma, and I believe in a higher power. I believe in energy. I believe in certain things like that. As much as we like to have fun and be messy and do these different things, like, I just like it to be lighthearted as possible. You know what I mean? It's more like the way that I do my stuff. It's more with a comedic twist versus like I'm coming at you. It's
Mm-hmm.
more of a like, let's make fun of a situation.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But then you said something very important, which is boundaries. And I don't care what sector or what industry you're in, you have to have boundaries between personal and professional, boundaries on how far you're going to go professionally. Have you found it easy, or has it been a little difficult to navigate that personal and professional boundary, especially because your face is all over the internet all the time?
Well, I think the hardest part, honestly, for me is not, keeping the integrity. One of the lessons that I've learned just kind of going through the industry or trying to make a name for yourself is just kind of understanding that you have to wait your turn, right? And so,
Mm-hmm.
like, you can't be in a hurry to get somewhere
Mm-hmm.
because it's a dog eat dog world, and it doesn't matter what you do. You know what I mean? Whenever you're trying to climb through the ranks, like, you'll run into people that are truly not your friends or truly not your mentors or truly not looking out for your best interests,
Mm-hmm.
and then in those times, I know that I could be I was a person that can go off the handles, like, and I would address it. And so now what I've learned is, it's not tucking my tail. Like, there was a point in time where I always felt like I had to defend myself, but I felt like that came from me being a child, right? And, always defending that I wasn't the one that was talking. It wasn't my fault that we got kicked out of the class. It wasn't me. And no one ever believed me because I was the extra one. I had the personality. So it goes way deeper, where I
Yes.
always felt like I always have to defend myself because everybody always just assumes because Armon is this big, outrageous personality, it had to have been him,
Yes.
And so I've gotten to a point where, even in my business lives and growing up, I took that character with me,
Yep.
and I would literally burn it down because I'm like, you're not going to make me the problem because I've been told I was the problem all of this time. And I know that I diligently don't have a hatred bone in my body, and I try to lead with love and integrity. But it's easy to place the blame on someone like me sometimes. You know what I mean? And so
Yes.
for me, I had to learn that, hey, Armon, it's okay. You don't have to fight every battle. Like, sometimes it's better to just sit back and just focus because it's a long-term game. It's chess, not checkers. And honestly, if you just sit back and you meditate and you believe in God, you believe in the universe, and you put these things out and you put positivity out there, guess what? Like, it'll come back and show you everything that you need to see. And 9 times out of 10, if you just sit back and relax, everything will get handled for you. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And I'm learning that, So
Yeah.
that is a lesson that I really learned through this journey of,
Yeah.
just climbing through. Mm-hmm.
But that's also, I think, a lesson that all of us can learn, as a collective people, as individuals as well, is that we carry all this baggage with us from childhood forward, or we carry this baggage that got put on us from our ancestors and the history and all of this. And that we, especially us, we always feel like we got to be ready to fight. And I understand why,
Mm-hmm.
but there comes a time where you need to, I feel like you took your power back. You
Yeah.
finally decided to stop giving that power to everybody else to care about what they thought, whether or not they thought they were going to blame it on you or not. It didn't matter. You knew you wasn't going, you didn't do it. So what
Yeah.
difference does it make? And now you're sitting in the seat of your own power. And that's what I've noticed about you or anyone else that grows. And once you started sitting in that seat, the growth happened
Mm-hmm.
because you just
Mm-hmm.
put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
You just put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I want to also, because I've watched your growth as well. So you've grown in the spiritual world as well. And you have
Yes.
a secondary channel, a tarot
Yes.
channel you haven't paid attention to that much
Much.
lately because you've been busy,
Yes.
because your influence is growing so rapidly. Why, how did that spiritual journey start, kind of moving away from a little more of the traditional that you'd grown up with?
So that is so funny because I remember I was in the sixth grade and it was just weird. This girl, I don't remember. I don't remember. They had like these like rubber things that you could kind of like these bracelets that you could intertwine together. Long story short, she had two black ones, right? And I wanted one, but she was like, this is for black magic. And I was like, well, what is that? You know what I mean? I didn't know anything about that. And I was like, black magic. She was like, yeah. I was like, well, I don't think I like the sound of that, right? And she was like, well, you can do white magic. I was like, oh, white magic. That's cool. And so she gave me the two white ones, and then we were outside, and then we were gonna do like this floating game where we were supposed to put two fingers under this girl, and we tried to make her float.
Yeah.
I feel like she floated. Okay. Now I don't know if she really floated or not, but I felt like she floated. And so ever since then, I have been intrigued with this idea of magic, right? And then but anytime I bring up the word magic, people, especially growing up in apostolic, Christian faith, they're like, you cannot say magic, right? But so I would hear magic, and then I don't remember how I learned about tarot cards. I think that same girl had tarot cards, right? And I wanted some tarot cards, and I was like, how can I find some tarot cards? And then I think I was like 15 or 16, and I went to Barnes and Nobles. And I bought a Rider-Waite deck. Never used it. It sat there. I was terrified until when was that? 2015. I was in Atlanta. And I was just like, I'm going to buy another tarot deck. Bought the Rider-Waite tarot deck. That was around the time where my life was just a mess, and I lost it all. It was a mess. I had to end up moving back home, and I thought it was a tarot deck. I thought it was like, I shouldn't have brought this into my house. My whole life fell apart. You know what I mean? And then I got home. This was 2016, and I got back to California. Then I started kind of doing, the Facebook and the YouTube kind of thing. And then the spirituality just kept calling me. And two, I used to be a big weed smoker. And then I stopped smoking weed. A lot of people think that this is crazy, but I stopped smoking weed because two things: it triggers my anxiety, but then number two, I start to see spirits on people. And for me, I just don't like to see that all the time. You know what I mean? I don't like to see those spirits on people all the time. And so I kind of ran away from it. But the it's always called me to kind of I was always an intuitive individual. As a kid, like my mom would take me to the hospitals for sick people, and I would sing to them, and they would pass over. And like we would go to church and we would tarry. So I've always had like this spiritual gift inside of me. You know what I mean? My mom would have me literally go to churches and sing for these old ladies and have them cross over. It was the craziest thing. But anyway, fast forward, I was just like, you know what? I'm going to get this tarot deck. I'm going to learn it. I was watching a YouTube video on psychic mediumship and tarot cards. And I was just like, you know what? It's about the intention behind it. And this is something that's always been in me. I've always been an intuitive being. I've always done spiritual work in the church with my mother and my grandmother. And then I went on my own kind of spiritual journey. So I wanted to try it. And then I kind of got involved in it, told my mom about it. She's totally like, wait a minute, whoa, the crystals, it's rocks, it's this, it's that. So yeah, like I don't do it as much. It's still something that I want to still get into. But I think the older that I get, sometimes I'm like, well, I haven't been doing it since I was like 2 years old. Like, you get this idea of imposter syndrome where you just feel like you're going to be judged for everything that you do. And then once you built this platform, because remember, there was a point in time that on my platform, I tried to do it and I got laughed at. It was just a big thing. There's just like this whole microscope on me. So anything I try to do differently, I'm constantly being judged because of the type of platform that I have. And I think that I don't know, sometimes it's a little intimidating, but every day, and even now, like every day I'm getting stronger and stronger in my walk and my faith, because eventually I know that I have a calling to minister to people in different ways. Like I honestly do.
Yeah.
And I know that I do.
Yeah. So I brought that up because I find it, do you find that the stronger you're growing in that, in the spirituality realm, and for me growing stronger in that just means growing stronger in knowing who you are and loving yourself and taking your power back and being your own, being your divine being that's still part of, the all, that's still supreme being. But do you find the stronger you get in that, the stronger and the more influence you actually have on your regular channel?
Yeah, I believe that. And the more that I sit in that and become comfortable with it, right? Because I think in order to even become stronger in it, like there's this battle to where you want to be comfortable in it. Because I would be lying to you too if we're really going to talk about it when we get into a space of, are you going to go this full on spiritual route? There's been times in the back of my mind is like, am I doing the right thing? Like,
Yeah.
am I going to go to hell? Like, do I really want to commit all the, I feel it, but
Yeah.
am I like signing some contract with the devil that I'm not really aware of? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that every day is a challenge for me I'm really deciphering that. Like I'm battling that, like, okay, hey, this is who you are. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's okay. And it does not mean that I'm worshiping said devil or whatever. But the stronger I get in that, the more I'm able to be grounded in myself and be able to say, you know what? I don't need to react here. I don't need to react there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to rush it here. And then it
Mm-hmm.
also allows me to understand that I have a bigger purpose out of what the normal people or regular average person will see. Most
Yes.
people, they see what I do and they think that this is all that it is. See, for me, I understand that it's much bigger than just getting on a microphone and having a conversation about the latest celebrity tea. For me, it's the spiritual connection that I meet and that I connect with people's souls through it. And this is the way that I'm able to connect with their souls. You'd be surprised how many people I connect with behind the scenes on a spiritual level outside of just celebrity news. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
so for me, it's allowing me to get into spaces and connect with people on a spiritual level. So, it does help me. I do appreciate, I
Mm-hmm.
hope I answered the question.
No, you did,
Um,
because that's beautiful. We need to understand that spirituality isn't just for people like myself, that
mhm.
there's astrology and Reiki master and psychic and all tarot, blah, 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 right? That's all fine, well, and good. But all of us have a way to shine that light and to give that love and make that connection through everything that we're doing.
Mhm.
And I think that's what sets you apart from a lot of the other people in your space,
Mhm.
right? Because I'm sure that some of the folks, they may not, when they hear you and they see you, they're going to be like, he does what? Because
Yeah.
that's not your presence. That's
Yeah.
not your energy. And not to take away from anybody else, but it's a different kind of it's
Yeah.
this there that I think is different and very much missing from you, that you shine your light. Um, I want to talk to you also as well, because in this space, there's a lot of melanin in this space.
Yes.
There's a lot of women in this space, but I have noticed over the last few years there's a lot of gay men in this space.
Mhm.
Some openly, some not. But I want to talk about the acceptance of you as a gay man, as an influential Black gay man in the Black culture. What has, how far do you think we've come? Where do you think we need to go?
Um, that's a good question. For me, I don't ever like to lead with my sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm just, that's just who I am. I don't wear it on my sleeve, but I'm also very comfortable and very much so out. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Now in this, for example, the space that I'm in, I think, it's typical, now when we get into hip hop and, urban media, you don't see a lot of it. Typically you see gay men behind the scenes. They are usually looked at as more, part of the team, hairdresser, stylist, things like that. And so I, excuse me, I want to be an example in a nutshell for the young boy, that turns on his YouTube channel, trying to find somebody that looks like him, and not necessarily having to wear it on his sleeve, but he just wants to see that, hey, I can see myself and I can be cool. I can fit in. I can do radio. I can do broadcasting. I don't have to be what they say a gay person should be,
Yes.
And I just want to be an example to that 16-year-old, the 15-year-old, the 17-year-old that's got his headphones in the car with his parents, listening to a gay person talk because they can't outright watch it at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I want them to be encouraged to know that, listen, it gets better. And I'm out here paving the way for the up and comers to do what they want to do and to be who they are. And you can be dope, you can be fly, you can be cool, and you can be gay all at the same time.
Yes.
And as far as how far we need to go, we definitely need to go far, right? Because we can get into a whole thing about the underlining of homophobia within the Black community.
Yeah.
Gay men versus Black women, and black men versus gay Black men. It's just a whole conglomerate of different issues that we have within our culture. However, I think that, each and every day, with people like myself and others that are doing the work, it makes it easier, and the barriers get broken down. And when we have allies like you and many other people that come and do the work, it makes it better. But I don't like to harp on the negativity of it all, because I don't like to even sit in that. I just try to be an example for us. And anytime I get into a space, I still try to make sure that I don't take away from anybody of the Black or brown experience, but I definitely want to make sure that I'm bringing my boys along with me, because somebody's got to do it. And they're easily left behind because not enough people are willing to speak out, because that's a lost group. A lot of people don't feel as though we have issues, or our problems don't really matter. And a lot of times that's how so many of us are lost, and I just want to make sure I understand that I can't save the world and save all the gay boys, but I definitely, if there is a few that are listening and I could save and I can inspire, I definitely want to bring them along with me. So that's why I started even my boys chat podcast that we do on Sundays. Because it's like a boys brunch. Like, we just talk about our issues. It's not to isolate anyone else, but it's just because now I have a platform. Listen, I want to highlight my boys, and no, we don't all wear lipstick, hair, and nails. We're just regular guys that go to brunch and talk about regular things,
regular stuff.
You know what I mean? And so
right.
I just want to destigmatize what gay looks like. And it's not to take away from anybody in the community that may wear nails, hair, drag, whatever, but that's not all gay is. Gay is your next door neighbor that, mows lawns, or that's a plumber, or that's a construction worker. Gay is your teacher. Gay is your police officers. Gay is an orientation, and that's really no one else's business, honestly.
Yes.
But I don't really harp on the negative. I just make sure I keep bringing my boys as I keep knocking down the doors.
I love that. And I love the fact that you don't harp on the negative.
Yeah.
I wanted to address it though, because I feel very strongly that it's conversations like this, it's friendships like this that will start to heal or continue to heal this wound.
Yeah.
And then hopefully someone hears the fact that, guess what? You don't have to tear me down for you to grow. I don't have to tear you down for you to grow. It in any way, shape, form, or fashion, there is more than enough out here for all of us to eat, as they say. But I feel like we all need to be excellent and strive for that excellence. And as we do that, and not be jealous of one another. There's at no point am I ever jealous of you.
Exactly.
At no point are you ever jealous of me. Like, we can come together and support one another in a very authentic way. And that's what I love about what you do very much. So what's on the horizon for Armon? What is next, do you think? The next chapter. You've just moved to Southern California.
Well, what's next for me, honestly, I've been telling myself I need to finish this tarot certification. That's one of those things that I need to do. No, I really need to do that.
Okay.
I really need to do that. I need to
All right.
even if I don't go out and start using it right away, I definitely need to finish that because that's a personal goal of mine. And it's obviously been a challenge and I want to overcome it. On the other hand, though, honestly, moving here, I didn't move here with many expectations. I think that to me, when you have too many expectations, that's when you can start kind of fumbling and, slipping into depression and, pouting and things like that. So just because I'm here in Southern California, I'm not expecting to be a star tomorrow. But what I am doing is being present, being available, manifesting and building great relationships while centering myself, right? And really putting myself on a regimen of mind, body, and soul cleansing and healing and caring, right? From food to exercise to thought process. So for me, I'm honestly at a point where I'm in a place where it's 10 times more chaotic from where I lived, right?
Yeah.
But I'm making sure that my mind is more grounded than ever. And so for me, this is more of a time of practicing solitude, being grounded so that I can hear the messages from spirit. So I can really be in tune with when is this a good time to make the next move versus just going out here trying to grab and jump on anything and everything. You know what I mean? I want to enjoy the journey, honestly, and I just want to be present in the moment, and I think that is the best way to be because the more that I've been in that space, opportunities they just start to come. Like the universe will literally reward you when you just sit still and just, you know what I mean? And just ground yourself and just focus on yourself. And like, I'm honestly correcting a lot of stuff, traumas that I've had going on. And I'm okay with that because I feel like in order to get to that next level, I got to do some self-discovery, some self-healing, some self-care because where I'm at now, you got to really be solid. You got to be solid. And so for me, before I get out here and try to really get into this world, I'm making sure that not only is my house solid, I'm solid in this temple, in this body, in my mind. And so that's the real focus for me right now because, I just feel like I'm going up against a lot and I know there's going to be a lot to come, but I want to make sure that I'm not easily shaken.
Yes, that is beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm excited. We hadn't even said whew. Okay.
What, Lisa?
That just moved me because I don't think people take the time. We get so busy. I'm a business owner. You're a business owner. People might think that you just make YouTube videos.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot to be a successful content creator.
It does.
I don't care what sector you're in. It takes a lot to be a successful content creator.
It definitely does.
So I don't begrudge that or just belittle that at all. But to be able to take that time and have that presence to understand, I got to take care of me and make sure my personal foundation and my ish is cleared up. And I reflect and learn these lessons and then elevate myself so that you don't fall into the same cycles, right? And so that you can be ready for the next step up.
Yeah.
Because you really do. If you're not ready for it, by the time you reach it, it's like, oh my God, it's overwhelming. You can't really get there fully because you haven't done the work to be able to stand there. So I love that. I absolutely, absolutely love that.
Yeah, there was a lady who kind of she wanted me to do press for the Grammys. and I turned it down. I'm just like, and I would have, I would love to do it, but I'm just like,
Wow.
it's not, I'm not gonna, I'm not ready. Like, you know what I mean? And it's not that I'm not
Wow.
ready. Like, I just felt like I just got here. I can't, like, for me, I gotta be my house, my foundation has to be solid first, and then me before
Yeah.
I can just start running amok, because I can't do it. I don't work that. I don't work well like that. And I'm a firm believer. If I'm not prepared all the way around to really put my best foot forward, then I'm not gonna, half do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm out, but I'm still doing the work. But I'm not in a rush. A friend of mine told me, enjoy the journey. What's the rush? To hurry up and die? You know what I mean? Like, I'm literally enjoying the journey, because at the end of the day, for me, the most exciting part of any success for me is on the way up. When you get there, that's not the exciting part, because it's kind of like, well, you're there. Then everything is kind of like, well, what's next? But it's the little wins, the small wins, each step of the way. It's the little things in between that make it worth it. And so for me, each step up, I'm happy and I'm taking it in and I'm appreciating it, because once that moment has happened, it's over.
Right.
And so I want to make sure that I'm appreciating all of those moments, because I can look back even when I was a kid, and I can look back at moments where, I was just able to ride in the car with my dad or my grandparents and, eat chips and stuff. Like, that was nothing to me then. I miss those moments so much now. Yep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because those are those little moments in time that really mean something that you should cherish. So even like growing in my business, like, I remember the first time I got my first celebrity, follow. It was like a big deal. The more celebrity follows you get, it's kind of like, okay, next. You know what I mean? Honestly. So I'm still at the point where I'm still appreciating every little thing, because honestly, in the moment that you are in right now is the best time. Like, this is the moment. This is the moment that you should be cherishing, not worrying about yesterday or what's ahead. Cherish the now for me. And that's kind of what I'm in. I'm making them now. I'm cherishing that, and I'm making the best that I can. And I'm enjoying doing it.
That is amazing. Armon, this has been extremely special. Extremely special. So I want you to tell us, where can we find you? Give us all your socials. It's going to be in the show notes, guys, for those of us that are listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and the other podcast platforms, or on YouTube or Facebook or IG. It's going to be in the description. But do you mind telling us how we can find you?
Yes, I'm everywhere, all across your social media at the Armon Wiggins Show. I mean, it's pretty simple. I keep it the same way everywhere, so it's easy to find me at the Armon Wiggins Show on all your streaming platforms, even on Apple Music, Spotify, because I got songs out too. So that's
right.
Yeah, music is a thing too. So Armon Wiggins, I got 2 records out. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It's a whole thing over here, man. It really is. So that's what I'm saying. Like, all this personality, I be needing to put it in different areas. Okay, I'm a Gemini, so and I love, I'm a true air sign for sure. So Armon Wiggins at the Armon Wiggins Show all over.
Awesome. And any closing advice for those that are wanting to get into any of these areas, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatnot? Any closing advice for someone, anything you'd like to leave with us?
For me, it's cliche as it sounds. It's just keep going, right? And this one thing that I'm learning is be intentional. So be intentional on everything that you do as well, because it kind of helps direct the path. And I'm learning that, like, I'm literally going through my path of being intentional, like, right now. But yeah, so to me, keep going, be intentional, and honestly grounding, get with spirit, get with your, like, healing, self-healing, and whatever that looks like for you. I think that we need to address our traumas and understand that a lot of our traumas make up who we are. And maybe in some of that trauma, perhaps you can use that to your good, to your benefit. So, I
Yes.
mean, that's kind of what I did.
Yes. I think that's what all of us do that find this success and find this peace within. We take it and we learn from it.
Yeah.
Right. My friend, this has been amazing. Thank you so very
No
much for
problem.
agreeing to do this. I really,
Yes.
really appreciate you being here. And I look forward to hopefully sometime in the very near future, we can do this all over again.
Yes.
Well, guys, thanks so much for joining us today. I very much appreciate you all. Please go follow Armon in all the show notes and everywhere on the social medias. And don't forget to come back here and for another episode of the Sunday Soul Podcast, the Black Edition. Peace, love, blessings, and joy be unto you today, tomorrow, and for all eternity. I love you guys. Namaste. Bye, everyone.